In March last year, 44 out of the 55 African nations signed the African Continental Free Trade Area, AFCFTA, the biggest trade agreement signed since the World Trade Organization was established. The AFCFTA brings together 1.3 billion people with a combined GDP of close to $3 trillion. This agreement is expected to help Africa trade more with each other. Statistics from the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa indicate that Africa is the least integrated region in the world, where intra-African exports were 18% of the total exports in 2018.
In 2025, if we do well and if we make this work, the African market will be $3.6 trillion. This is not insignificant for business, because at the end of the day, this is why you're here. Of that $3.6 trillion, you will have about $2.4 trillion, which will be business to business.
ECA projects the value of intra-African trade to be between 15% and 25% higher in 2040 compared to an Africa without AFCFTA. The analysis also shows that least developed countries are expected to experience the largest growth in intra-African trade of industrial products, up to 35% higher in 2040 compared to just 19% for developing African countries.
The promise of free trade and free movement is prosperity for all Africans, because we are prioritizing the production of value-added goods and services that are made in Africa. The advantages we gain by creating one African market will also benefit our trading partners around the world, and that is a good thing.
It's basically saying Africa can produce. If Africa produces, Africa can employ its youth, Africa can employ its young women. And trade is also particularly trade in services. As we break down this barrier of trade, we will have a huge service sector that will open up on logistics, on information technology, on e-platforms, where we believe that even more women will have access to markets that they do not have today.
So what are the next steps? Countries are now expected to hand in their schedules of how they will remove tariffs on 90% of goods and services. Countries must also provide information on the rules of origin. This is to ensure that they're trading with goods that are produced exclusively on the continent. Countries will also agree on how to remove non-tariff barriers to allow free movement of persons and goods across the borders. These steps will be crucial to the realization of the dream of a one single market for Africa.
We need to summon the required political will for the African Continental Free Trade Area to finally become reality.
The continent has set itself a mid-2020 target to implement the agreement that will now require the AFCFTA Secretariat to speed up negotiations so that the agreement can take effect. Sarah Kimani, SABC News,